Okay, I'm just gonna try and make this a quick video. Just a quick little video. Pretty much just how I set up my Hasselblad X2D Mark II. This can probably apply with the exception of, the Auto. I mean, this can definitely apply to the X2D Mark One as well. But you can get something out of it, I'm sure. But yeah, I just wanted to set this up. This is a real simple one. I don't still new to camera, so I'll probably build profiles right now. Right now, I just pretty much have just general purpose like photography, whether it's portrait workflow or just bumping around with the camera on profile one. And then I have a profile two for studio work. Okay. So, yeah, and I do not have an overhead setup, so I'm just going to go ahead and try and show you the screen over here from my perspective. Okay.
Okay, hopefully this comes out okay. I'm trying to film this on, switched up. I took it away from my hand, just filming on the chest right now. All right, so right now, I was playing around with before. I'll go into the settings over here, general. I have two custom profiles only. You obviously have up to five. I'll just go ahead and load profile number one up. Okay, profile number one is my general photography. So I obviously always, by default, I have the aperture wide open, f2.5. Aperture, I'll go ahead and I'll control with the front thumb wheel right here. Okay, so I'll do that always. And then the back, I have it set to shutter speed. That's how I like to have it. And then this control wheel right here, okay, if you kind of take a look at the screen, I have this set to ISO. And if I go all the way past the base ISO of 50, it'll go into auto, which is kind of cool. So just straight from this control ring, okay, I can go ahead and change it right from auto to manual. All right, which is really super convenient. So within holding the camera, I have control shutter, aperture. So that's the way I like to do it. And then obviously you can go ahead and shift into manual focus by using the clutch right here. Okay, so most of the stuff I'll do or I need to do, I can do within that setup right there. Okay. Now that's what I use for just general walking around photography. I also have this set to kind of reset the focus point in the center. So that's kind of cool. Now load up the profile for my studio work. Okay. Go into here, custom profiles, to load. Now, by default, I'll have this obviously as f8. I have the shutter at 125 and then ISO at 100. Okay. My controls for shutter speed, I keep the same. Shutter speed, and then aperture right here still. Okay. And what I do here, the big change, is I disable the ISO control from the control ring because in the few studio shoots I have had so far, I notice that when I'm going back and forth, I am bumping the ISO. Okay. And I'll show you by changing the shutter speed. When I have it in the photography setting, I have changed the exposure simulation to be set, and so that way it's not changing when I'm controlling the shutter speed. This allows me to go ahead and see in the dark when I have the ambient set down low for studio work. Okay, so that's also the main difference is the exposure simulation and disabling the control ring. All right, and that exposure simulation is right here. So I have this set over here, and even in the menu it shows you that for exposure simulation is needed for flash photography in M mode. Exposure simulation is not recommended. So it even tells you that, which is really cool. The menus over here are super easy. Okay, and then when I load up my general photography setting, when I want full manual control and I want to be able to see live view, I go ahead and go into M. All right, and that's basically it. Those are my two profiles that I use. Really, the only difference between my general photography and well, the two main differences between those two profiles, and I do have some white balance settings that I set. You know, I'll generally have the white balance set to a set Kelvin temperature, and or sometimes I switch it over to flash, depending on how dynamic the shoot is, or how much we're moving around and stuff like that. Yeah, but that's those are the settings right there that I use.
Hopefully that was helpful. If you got any questions, I'm trying to keep this quick, hopefully beneficial. That's what I use right now. I just got two profiles, studio profile and then just general photography profile, which I use for still life, landscapes, and portraits. And then obviously within the profile one, this camera is I've got all my settings set to where I can change the autofocus mode. I go manual. Obviously with these lenses, you can just shift the clutch in there. So it's just really easy. I've got everything within reach with this camera, which is also why I kind of like it. So yeah, hopefully that was somewhat beneficial. Not too many changes between studio and whatnot, but just a couple things that really make my life easy. And one thing that did save me some time going back and forth was disabling some of those controls, especially when you go into studio for exposure simulation. So, all right. Peace. Talk to you guys later.